All right, guys, we're going to do a couple quick videos. We're going to start with this crane. Somebody's working on it and running into some troubles with trying to model the little base section here. Now, what I've done is I've went ahead and found some visuals off of the manufacturer's website. So I do have a little bit better stuff to work from here as far as like images go. Now, this is a 3D model, obviously, that the company has sent to a studio somewhere to do a visual of and render it out and whatnot. But the main thing here is that it's probably based off the CAD model, if I had to take a guess. And so they cleaned it up, probably rendered, assigned materials, and then rendered it out with like Arnold or something more than likely, and using like an HDRI backdrop, if I had to take a guess. Now, the thing here about this one is that this is challenging, this little base section here. But if you need to, sometimes you have to do this. So I just wanted to point it out in a video that you need to find other references. And sometimes you can use like YouTube videos, and they have the animation of this thing going around and whatnot. Get this picture. This is excellent because now we have width and we have length all in the same image. And in another image, you might have the length as well, right? Which is basically what this one's doing here. Now this one's a little bit more in perspective, because it's a little bit closer up, right? This one's actually further away, so it becomes more orthographic like. It's actually better to do a block off or block out off of this one as opposed to this one, believe it or not, even if it's lower quality, as long as you can make out the shape there. So I wanted to point that out real quick. There's little like peculiarities when working in perspective and off images you have to pay attention to, and that's one of them. So all I'm going to do is take this into Blender real quick. So I'm just copying and pasting with the paste image add-on, but basically you can just save it out and then Shift A, create image reference, and load it up. It'll come in something like this, right? Now, we know we have the top here. Okay, great. If I create a cube, I'm just blocking out, right? This is all we're doing. We're just blocking, guys. We're not doing anything fancy here. I only have limited information here. I only got the length and the width. And you can see it stops right back here. There's the round section. This should be the squared section here. What this yellow piece is right here, it looks like it's on the platform. I don't know, whatever. I think it's not part of it. So reference image is a little bit rotated. We're going to rotate it like this and line it up a little better. Loop cut right here. Loop cut right here. We're going to get this going first. Although I suspect this is a little bit in perspective. It does look like it gets a little bit wider. So we're going to go for our lowest hanging fruit here first. We're just going to go for the big stuff that we can kind of see. And that's that. Extrude this face out. You have to hit Alt-Z to turn on X-ray to do this. And there we go. So while we're at it, we can toss this cylinder in here as well. It probably lines up, if I had to take a guess, dead center of this guy here, right? So I'm going to Shift S cursor to selected, create a cylinder, Shift S selection to cursor, and we can scale it down a little bit for now. And we're just going to move it into position. It should be in this area. It's not guaranteed that that's entirely correct, but you can see it looks like it's a little bit larger. There's a chance, because it looks like we're peeking over the side here on this, that it's going to be shifted back over, basically, because of the perspective difference there. So, learning to draw in perspective helps with stuff like this, understanding what you're doing. But the main thing here is if we capture the size of it, that's going to be close-ish. It's not necessarily going to be correct, but it's going to be close-ish. And now we have the basic idea of what we're trying to create here, right? We can move the reference image, or we can move the model. It's up to us. Or we can bring in a new reference image. Even actually, you can duplicate this one. You can Shift D and duplicate it as well. And then right click, rotate, hold Control, move it somewhere back here. Do this. And you see how this is going to start lining up like this. So we can scale it up, move it over. We just got to line it up so that it makes sense. Sometimes you need a plane. So use a plane. And we're just going to stick it right at the front on the bottom one, because that's the one we modeled it off of. and it makes the most sense. This one, I'm just going to reverse the normal, but you can rotate it if you want. So Alt-N, flip normal. We can use those planes to gauge what's going on here as far as alignment goes. So we could say like forward and backwards. Something, that's pretty close. Not too bad. All right. This doesn't have to be down there necessarily. We can pull it up. All right. And you can see what's going on now. So if I pull these down, this has more stuff going on here that I know I'm not going to get quite right just yet. But I can pull it down a little bit and start working this. Something like this maybe. Maybe I pull this back, GG twice, and hold Alt, bring it forward. Okay. And you can see what's going on now. We could definitely keep pulling this further down, or we could try extruding it. All right, sometimes you got to do things like this, and we know where this is going to end roughly, like somewhere in this area. And so we have this going on here. Let's clean this up real quick. I can't symmetrize this actually, and so I can't do it's asymmetrical, so I can't really do the dissolve that I was planning on doing. I was planning on dissolving this so it all turns flat. In that case, not going to work. We could try maybe like loop tools and flatten, and that might work as well, but you can see other things become misaligned. So one of those little weird things that you got to work on sometimes. You got to do some weird odd stuff like this, but for the most part, I'd say we're okay. It's not too bad, right? Now where'd that cylinder go? It's down here. Okay, so this cylinder was part of this big base section. From the side view here, obviously this isn't quite right, but we can definitely get it into position at least. It's just a little platform by the looks of it. It's going to be relatively thin. I don't know how thin it's going to be, but somewhere in that area. So yeah, it's definitely too small, I would say. It looks like it's going to be a lot bigger than that. So I'm going to actually model it off of this one then, just a little bit larger. And we'll realign it something like so. So it's in the dead center. Duplicate the cylinder, scale it down, scale it up. This is going to be our main pipe. If we can get this one right, then we will get this one right, basically, right? For the most part, as long as it's not a rotated image or something like that. This is the tricks of setting up a blockout for something a little bit more specific, I'd say, than just kind of randomly going at it. And so, but like, see, we got the main idea of the thing going, and that's good. So we're not going to be questioning what we're doing here later on. As far as proportions go, we're going to be able to say like, you know, this is approximately correct. Now we just have to figure out like this needs to align maybe to this one or vice versa. In this case, let's align. Yeah, it might even be off a little bit. Actually, now that I see it, it might just be slightly like over here. Who knows? This is where your reference images come in handy. I snagged this from a YouTube video from the company. And so I can kind of look in here and I can see like, you know, what is this actually aligning to? Is it the middle section here? It is. So then I know I'm doing the wrong thing. So that's easy, right? It needs to go and align to this origin point. So I'm going to grab this and let's see if we can do two of these at the same time. Transform, align object. Align objects to, what are we on? Y-axis. Okay, see it aligned to centers. And I don't really want that. We do selection, it doesn't work. Okay, so I don't really want that. Let's just do Shift S, cursor to selected. Or better yet, let's see if we can do a snap here. It would be nice if they had like an object snap or something like that, but I don't think they do. We could probably get away with like face and center, which might work. We'll see here in a sec, because this is a face down here. So G, Y, hold control, and it's not going to. All right. I know there's a way like doing like edge center possibility. GY, hold control, you snap to that one. All right, GY, boom. A little bit confusing. Snapping in alignment sometimes in Blender is a little odd. Otherwise, another way you could have done this is just simply grab the face on this object, Alt Q to it, Shift S, cursor to selected, and you take this and you can just do Shift S selection to cursor, but you can see it's going to move it exactly where that cursor is. We didn't really want to do that, so that's why I didn't choose to do it that way. But there's all kinds of different ways you can approach things. It might be one of them. Another thing you could do, it might be useful, is like once you have the cursor position, you go to View. You see the 3D cursor here on Y. Okay, this should be a global coordinate. Copy that. All right, when you grab this in object mode, it should be using global. So on Y, you should be able to paste it in there. Whoops, I guess I got that wrong. Hold on. There you go. There you go. Where's this origin point at? Why is it not moving? Okay. Oh, that's the 3D cursor we're moving. Y here. Sorry, I'm using the wrong fields. I think the 3D cursor should be over here, but it's personal preference. Anyways, I think you get the idea, right? It works. So that's how that works out there. And now you have a better reference set up, even if they're lower quality images. This just gets you started and going in a better direction, I think, ultimately, than you probably would have if you just try to eyeball it from looking at a perspective image. So you can play around with the shapes and the sizes a little bit there. This is your guide mesh, guys. Like, you're going to do more block out, not just these shapes necessarily, but you might block out additional elements where it makes the most sense. Like, you can see this little section here hanging out the front, right? The cabin. We might want to do that as well, but for now we can leave it alone maybe. And there's no guarantee on how that exactly lines up anyways. You got to look at all your reference images to kind of figure it out. But the main thing is that we got the big proportions, right? And so later on, when we're trying to figure out, like, it would be nice if we had the width of this whole column, but we don't. So what we can do is we can hide that. We can Control-Shift-V with that paste image add-on. Paste reference image add-on, I guess. Should be on extensions, I think. If not, you'll have to download it off like Gumroad or GitHub or something. But the main thing is, like, you can see this one's in perspective. So, like, it gets really narrow down here. And where the other image, when we look at that one, it also gets narrow. I didn't realize that, but you have a little bit more control it this way anyway. So you can press H and Alt-H to hide and unhide these. Put them in their own collection if you wanted to, so you have better control on them. But you can see we're kind of close. It's not too far off. It's got like a little bit of angle to it. I don't know if that's actually in the design or not, or if it's just a perspective issue. I would venture a guess that the one that's further away is more accurate than this one. But it does give us a clue on like what's going on here as far as like this shape goes. It looks about correct. And that's now you can start like actually figuring things out, like how big is this little base section, like right through this area maybe, right? Or through here. And then, how do these line up with each other? This is the kind of nonsense you have to go through sometimes with 3D models, and it's annoying, but you know what? It is what it is. That's part of the job. So, and if you want to make some money one day doing some 3D modeling, this is the kind of stuff that can be helpful to know. To me, this image is still too blurry. I really would like more clarity. I'd probably go scavenge for a better version of this, possibly a higher resolution in a video or whatever, if I could find it. I think it would work out better than just using this exact one. So, but yeah, we have things here we can actually model, as needed, basically. Like this top section, am I ever going to get it to line up 100% perfect? Probably not, but I do know I can place it there and get at least the length right. And so I can just place it up here now. Looks like it's just a little platform as well. Something like that. So pretty close, As far as this base section goes, yeah, I know it's annoying. I wouldn't probably stress it too much. I think it's okay to kind of get it rough at first and then slowly work it out. Like there's definitely like some width changes happening in this as well that like we just didn't see in this model, but I can see it in the other images. It looks like it's getting smaller maybe a little bit. There's something else going on here. And actually it may not actually, or it's maybe tiny bit does. Like this section here, for example, comes out. It goes down here. Let's use a cubic shape real quick. We could take this and detail it, right? I'm going to separate it as a new object. We can isolate it for just a moment. Get rid of some of those annotations real quick. There you go. And now Backside's going to be rounded. So I want to go ahead, just do this vertex snap now. Not center, closest. Boom. Merge by distance. We can symmetrize this up if needed later. Main thing is we want to get towards the center of this. So like right here, there, bevel, C to clamp, and mouse wheel up. Now I'm using width. For whatever reason, I think it's a bug that it doesn't go all the way out to the clamp. I find a lot of bugs in Blender. It used to not do that, now it does. So whatever the case, but we can just bevel that and we'll have that kind of effect occurring now where it might need to occur. Oh, and we do not, because we actually worked off the back of the model. All right, whatever. Doesn't matter. We'll push it forward then, right here. You see where I'm going with that? So I could symmetrize that later if needed. Using a mesh machine, not a big deal. The cabin will be off to the right. So, you know, we have the basic idea of it going though, which is good. And so when we start to play around with these kinds of ideas, sometimes you got to apply scale to things because I just didn't do it. But once you get these ideas going and you have them about right, let's do a solidify here real quick. Shift Q with hard ops. Just want to create this little ring in the image. I can't see it here. And this is going to go about here. There's a loop cut maybe, and then this all shifts inwards. So I'm going to use the 3D cursor, right? So we use the 3D cursor and we grab these two, Shift S cursor to selected, and we use the 3D cursor as a pivot point. Now we can hit S and X in this case. We can bring it in maybe. All right, when I bring it in, you see it doesn't work there because there's an edge missing apparently. So S and X. All right, something closer to that. Seems to work pretty well. You're always free to do these kinds of things. Like you can break your models apart into like little parts and pieces. You can duplicate things. You can create custom transforms. So like I create a custom transform, I duplicate this piece and then I hit G, X, and you can see, boom. So if I want to work on like a little separate piece for a bit and then join them back together later, I could do that. It's not a big deal because it might need to go down further. In our case, I think it does. And we might want to do that with that one, but these ones over here, like maybe we want to bring these down too. You know, we can do this very disjointed if we have control over our meshes. Like we can go back to global instead of custom one there. You can save that custom one for later if you need to, or just make it again, whatever you need to do. But yeah, you can see like this is going to start coming down right here now. And it's very close to what needs to happen here, I think, but not quite. So what I'm going to do is extrude this edge back for a second. And this is going to go back in this way, like this, by the looks of it. It actually goes up into this area. So it's not even going to go in fully just yet. We'll have to probably cut this out again later. But the main thing is that this does actually come inwards like this. So now this eventually, you know, we can grab this piece and this piece over here. If I can get my edge selections going, press F, boom. That'll stay flat on the side at least. I don't know if it's actually flat on the real world thing, but it does look okay like this for now. More than likely, it's going to be a little bit different, I think. But it looks like these are going to like cut down like this. So this will run through here at some point. We could do this with one big polygon, but sometimes it's hard to get the correct kind of proportions and stuff with one big polygon. So you might want to do it with smaller ones anyways. Like this is going to be up here somewhere. So AM merge by distance, bring it up. That'll probably merge up to there. And then by the looks of it, this is going to go to there as well. Okay, this can be realigned later. Or GG twice, you can slide it. You see, I'm just like modeling over other geometry. It's like a maniacal way of doing things sometimes. But it's it can be useful, it can be helpful. Like this ain't quite work out moving that one. I'm just going to slide it back. I don't always go for perfection necessarily, but I do go for accuracy. Like as far as getting them in the right areas and trying to do the right things with it. Yeah, this goes way up here actually. This goes from like way down here to, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this actually. Oh no, I am wrong about this. It goes from like right here up to here. Okay, yeah, so I'm way off with that. Um, okay, and then this bottom piece doesn't do this at all. Not like that anyways. So we'll just move this GX, hold control, pull it forward. I have a feeling this one's gonna stop right here. Somewhere in there. I missed my cut. You gotta be careful with stuff like that. Merge your verts, guys. Press M and merge at last or whatever. That looks more correct. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's more correct looking to me. This actually goes over that edge a little bit. That's kind of interesting. Because this all tucks inwards. And in our case, I think we'll have to, we could probably symmetrize it for now. Yeah. Symmetrize it for now. Just grab all of it and just tuck it in a little like this, maybe. Yeah, there you go. What a pain, huh? Like polymodeling can be sometimes. Learning to do it manually, though, is still super useful. It's one of those things like you don't want to do it, but it's just the way it works out sometimes. Like this all needs to be flat in here. It's really hard to get these kinds of shapes right. Booleans can be useful for this. Don't get me wrong. You could definitely go to town on this with some booleans as well. So do try that. You know, it doesn't always have to be the way I'm doing it, but if I'm just trying to get the shapes kind of right and going and need them something like this, then I will do that. Right. This can probably be dissolved by the looks of it. Oh, no, it can't be. No. Actually, kind of. It's almost like this piece is correct, but down here, yeah, this could be worked out. Something more like that, maybe. And it flattens out here. All right. Okay, there we go. What a pain that little corner is, that design. There's more work we would have to do on it, obviously. It's just getting started at this point. This is kind of like we did the block out first as a guide, but now look how much closer we are to our end result now after we've done it like this. This thing's broken into a lot of little parts and pieces on the real one. I don't suspect we're going to be able to do everything in those little parts and pieces without more detailed reference, but we could try maybe, but it might not work out well. I'm going to flatten that to the back. We get this nonsense. You can do limited dissolves, just type 0.05, and that'll work like that. So you get a big end gun. Now, because of that reason, we can do like KCA. We could try doing something like this and extruding that down though. It comes down to this part here. You can see this part here is actually kind of wrong. It's not as wide as it should be. You can just scale this, guys. Like you can scale it on, I want these aligned at least. All right. You can scale it on Z. It should maintain for the most part. Especially if you have edges that go through here. It'd be awesome. I got rid of those when I dissolved, but it should work out a little bit better. And so this angle will be maintained. This one won't be. That's what I'm saying. And yeah, so just trying to get it right. You know, that's always the challenge. Could we Boolean all this together and make it easier that way? 100% positive we could probably do something easier another different way. It's one of those projects, guys, but it's challenging, right? Just to get it going. And as a result, this is the stuff that most 3D modelers don't touch because it's a pain. I still need reference images at the end of the day that work better, but could I eyeball all this into position and into place? Probably, to be honest. I mean, I don't see why not. This doesn't have the right kind of setup here, though. There's a little bit something more going on in here. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. I'm really not sure what's going wrong here, actually. Look at it. Oh, no, this is correct. This is welded together. There's like a little bracket that might help support the shape change because it's going to be slightly curved in this area. Yeah, it looks like it's slightly curved in here. It's not quite flat. I'll delete that a sec. So it's going to be like a little bevel shape right here. But there's that hard edge there. What a pain. Yeah, that's a good one. I need to change this back to offset until they fix that bug. I can't stand Blender making bugs all the time. It's like I need to do like I don't usually clamp, but sometimes I do need to, but you can see like this just works better. Kind of doing something like that. And if we dissolve the right edges here, it might actually work out really well this way. You see? Boom. It's an Ingon though. It's very shallow, so the shading might get a little squirrely. Low poly visual elements like this, you don't need that many. It might help the shading. Okay. Won't be perfect. I'd probably dissolve that one anyways. Like, if it doesn't hold silhouette, I don't really care about it, to be honest. If I'm not trying to do something crazy. I'm getting at though. All right. So now we move it back out to the proper area. You see, I'm telling you guys, this is how I work. I am not afraid of polygons. I don't care about them being 100%. It does not matter. When you're trying to get something going, it's the best time to be wrong is when you're going at the start, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up in a bunch of really froggy situations where you don't want to be. Now I got most of this is correct now, except I extruded the wrong side apparently. So I'm going to symmetrize it. It's probably still going to be off, or it's going to have a polygon in the middle. So I'm going to just move it slightly to the left and then symmetrize it again in edit mode. All right, that'll square it out again. So these can eventually align. I'm going to use machine tools because, you know, nobody's got time for all that other crap. And then there you go. That'll be a gray. All right. And so, voila. We have this. Now, this here, like sometimes you can freeze your other mesh too. It helps. But I'm not trying to get too involved with it just yet. I want to do this piece. Yeah, you see, like, it's not quite lined up just right on this side. I could probably just push it back a little. It'd probably be fun. All right. This corner here, just do a fill from here to here. You see, create that face. You might have to flip it. All this inside can just be deleted. AF, boom, done. All right. So, I mean, it's entirely possible to create these kinds of things, even if it seems impossible, you know? It is possible. You just have to have a really firm understanding of how topology works, what your goals are. Like, is silhouette the most important thing here, or is poly, like, does it need to be super high poly, you know? Like, there's a big difference between those two. If this is just for like city planning or like really cheap visuals of like a harbor or something, you probably don't even have to do it this detailed, to be honest. But it's just something to keep in mind. And you use these images as needed, when needed, and where needed as well. So like, I know I don't want to go over there and work on it over there anymore, but I know I need handrails and I don't know the exact height of these things. All right. So I'm going to bring one out real quick. And usually handrails are about 1 meter tall, maybe like 1.1 meters. Depends on the handrail, I guess, but S and Shift Z to scale it only in 2 directions. I'm going to place that down at the bottom, as close as I can anyways. I can fix the origin point later if needed. Just wanted to have it approximately correct. So if I just scale it, and it's going to scale to that point, right? That's the only reason I do that. But S and Shift Z, make it thinner. Okay. We have the approximate width of it now, which is great. Let's check the rails. Let's see if they're about the same. They're a little bit skinnier, I think, by the looks of it. Just a tiny bit. All right, so we got our proportions for that for the most part. We could do this more detailed here and start setting that up and doing the little support structures for it. I'd have to guess at what's going on there. Just make some kind of cubic shape or something. But yeah, we could definitely do that area still. And then, but we have the rail now. We have we have 2 rails. And so if we bring these over here, all we got to do is count them. Like we could be like, hey, you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it's going to be. And then we can literally just work this out here real quick, like apply scale, control A or Q, excuse me, Q, array with hard ops. Just push it out a little bit. You can just set the number to whatever it is, like 8 or whatever it ends up being. There you go. And then try to set it up like this and see if it looks correct. I think it's too high. It just means our model's too big. And so we shrink the size of it. We can redo the array a little bit. We don't scale it non-uniformly. We scale it uniform, so it just shrinks in size. Now it's more accurate to the proportions of this as opposed to the proportions of this, right? So that's how we can end up doing it. I'm not saying it's actually 8 though. I didn't count it, but the main thing is that you can see where that goes. It's something like that. Now you applied the scale before you scaled it again, right? So now it's going to have a proper scale. You can copy this value here, right? And if you, because this was modeled with it, you can Control A, apply scale, and then you can click, drag down, and hit Control V. Boom. That's now the right scale as well. We've just matched them up. And so now we're going to have a rail at some point. We'll probably end up modeling the rails modular, but for now, I'm just going to lay it out here, doing another array. Usually arrays with hard ops can get a little squirrely because they always do like a constant offset, which I don't actually care for. I actually prefer relative a lot of times over it. But because it's just set to constant, we get, well, constant. Try to get the right one here. There it goes. So I just want to do 1. That's it. And then I'll bring it out like this so it's approximately correct. Right? And you can see what's happening here now. Like if this rail was right here, this isn't probably really the best way of doing this, but I can kind of tweak the size of it by adjusting both sides, right? Just temporarily, it helps maybe until I can do it more proper later. I just want to see what the visual of this, or how it's going to read with this anyways. And you can see it reads fine. Like it's nothing wrong with it. It's looking about correct. Is it at scale right now? No. It's better to do this at scale, believe it or not. So having a human figure in here somewhere and getting the actual scale correct, not just proportions, would be really useful. So that way, you know, we can measure things as well. That's going to increase our accuracy if we can measure things at the same time while proportional modeling. It's one of those things you have to do it at some point, right? So if you can find any known proportion of something, like if I can figure out the actual proportion of like one thing in here, right? And I scale to that one thing, the bigger proportion is going to be the more accurate one. So like the full length of this, perhaps. If I can do that and I set up a cube, I plug in the numbers here. So it's going to be like whatever. I'm just going to say 2 meters for now, but you get the idea, like 4 meters maybe. You can type in whatever values you want, 4 meters, 20 meters, centimeters, inches, whatever you got to do. And then you set up a cube like that, and you would scale everything to match that cube after you get the scale right. Sometimes the modifiers go crazy when you scale things, so be careful. Don't go too far with modifiers. But yeah, so basically at this point, you know, I'm not going to do the rest of this, obviously, in this video, but the main ideas are here. Like we have started this thing and it is going. It's not perfect, but it's underway, right? Like it's a good base. It's started up. And like something like this would be a lot easier to manage now, right? Like just go up, G twice, hold Alt. You can overextend these with GG twice, hold Alt, and then you can do a cut maybe like KCA. Boom. You can just cut off the tip. Boom. Press F. All right. I don't think we matched our shape here very well. Yeah, we didn't squeeze it. So I'm going to copy the Y value here so I don't have to come back for it. I'm just going to paste it back in. Usually I try not to do things this disjointed. A lot of times I don't think it helps to be going back and forth over to this model. I would put it in its own collection and hide it when I don't need it. But sometimes it's actually kind of fun doing this as well, just modeling this way. And you can see, we need this perfectly straight down here. Check this out. We can just GG twice and then GG twice back. You see? That's a cool, quick way to get it perfect. As far as like that angle in the bottom, but the up and down now is going to be a little bit off. You could probably just, you could probably even leave it off a little bit. Just pick, like this, we want to align to the right. So anyways, so the top one goes over to this one basically, as opposed to moving the bottom one. All right, and then, yeah, so I've copied that value, so now I just paste it back in. Boom, there, done. You can also use it empty as a reference as well for your center points and stuff like that. So Shift A, create empty, plain axis. You just want to reference of where your center post is, use an empty. You can change the sizes of these, just go in here, properties, boom. You can change what it looks like too if you want to use a circle or whatever. I like these little point ones like this, but yeah, anyway, so you can see kind of how it's going underway anyways. Not perfect, obviously. This could definitely use more work. I think it's still something very odd about it, a little bit off maybe. But it's not too crazy. And I think we can make it a little bit nicer perhaps. It's also this really interesting kind of shape right at the bottom of this one, which I don't think I would do it normally as like a cut in from this one, right? Like if we E right click S and Shift Z and pull it out, like it's something else going on here like this, right? It's very minor. It's not even that big, I don't think. But that's something you might do if you want to get that little tiny silhouette difference, I guess. I mean, that could be a possibility, right? This looks like it's too far down now. Although we modeled that to the image, so we probably just leave it. Something else is wrong here then. Like I didn't pull these down far enough then. So this was modeled off the image as well, wasn't it? No, no, it wasn't, because we can't see it in this image. And that's a problem. So this section here, from everything I could tell, this is just wrong. It needs to be like down here, maybe like that. A little bit further down, not quite that far, maybe a little bit further up. And yeah, you guessed it, because we started shifting something on an angle. Like all of this is going to look off or look wrong now. You got to go back and repair it basically. Not too far off, but I mean, there's definitely, yeah, something wrong with it. So eventually this will get like a mirror over this one, or you'll lay it out modularly and use instances or whatever. So, because you have to do the front and the back and then like the corners. But like, you get the main ideas now. Like we do this like this. All right. Anyways, that's it for this video. That's Blockout 101, guys. Like, in starting your rough models, if you need to add more detail, you keep working this one now. But you build this to get a better understanding of this, and you can work with this to build this, right? It's complicated. It's a lot of back and forth, but once you get used to doing it, it's not that crazy. It's like actually pretty fun. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, it's fun anyways. If you don't, you're going to just pull your hair out. But yeah, and so better references help a lot. Actual like blueprints, drawings, technical drawings help even better. CAD models, if you can get your hand on a CAD model of something you're trying to create, just use the dang model. All right. Game studios do this all the time. It's nothing unheard of. Visualization studios, they do this as well, right? They get the CAD model from the manufacturer and then they build off of that, or they fix it or whatever, right? So then they can do the visual, all the materials and pretty lighting and rendering and all that. But when you're getting started, yeah, it could be rough. All right. So keep that in mind. This is the way I go about doing it. Check out some other videos on how other guys might do it, but for as far as I'm aware of, this is like the kind of the go-to technique with Blender, anyways, and mix booleans into it, right? So that's always a possibility. If you could do anything even more accurate than this, yeah, do it. Like CAD model, for example. Definitely do it. Now, building it in a CAD software, not necessarily required, but if you feel more comfortable building CAD model first and using that as your kind of guide mesh, then do that. There's nothing wrong with it. It's always going to be a challenge, though, especially on these kinds of angles. Those are challenging little spots. You can see I'm not too far off. I could definitely tweak it more and get it closer. It does look like it has like a little slight bend in this way like that, right? And then this becomes a little bit more flat here, maybe. That's going to bother me now, right? Anyways, but it's a good base. It's a good starting point to, further refine, tweak, and adjust things. And we just have to do like the spiral staircase crazy stuff, which is fun. It's going to be a little bit more complicated than this, but the cab on the other side, I can't find any references of all that well. So that'd be a little different thing there, right? That needs to occur. And then obviously this gets rails, and those rails all meet with these rails, and build this in little sections and chunks if you need to. You could try to do it all non-destructively, but like sometimes it gets a little out of control doing that. You could probably make like the base core components, like the rail posts, the stair step, and then take those and work them into the configuration for like the cylindrical part at the top, or the little staircase that goes down, or the little spiral staircase section, or you know what I'm saying. Or you could just straight out model them and then go back and just UV map texture them or whatever, which is usually the easier way of doing it, in my opinion, just to not build it modular necessarily. Just kind of modular, like in little sections. But there are guys that will take their time to do it non-destructively instead of, I don't know, crazy stuff with geonodes, all kinds of cool stuff they do. So they can make all kinds of just really interesting things. But yeah, if you break it into little sections, parts, pieces, and chunks, and then build them as kind of like a little modular set, then you can use those however you want. If you're building other things, perhaps that have those same kind of designs, or parts or pieces or whatever. Just make like a big stair step set or something. Especially for environment art, for just visualization, you want to build it as accurate as possible, obviously. So anywhere you can save time, great, but it's not always possible. Like this, the guardrails here they're different than this one. So this will be a set. That'll be its own little set. But this one's used all over this platform, so that's great. These rails here might be able to be reused right here. You can probably reuse them a little bit, maybe. Yeah, and look, these ones up here are more kind of like these ones. You see where we're going with this? So we got like 2 step sets we need to make, basically. And rails and stuff. So, yeah, break them down in your head as you're looking at things. Think about logically, like, are they the same shapes and forms? Not colors, shapes and forms. You can always change color, right? Material, you can always change. And yeah, so anyways, that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll check you out on the next one. Take care.